This is a Power 98.7 podcast. Now we're talking. Subscribe to Power 98.7 podcasts in iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. There's more on power987.co.za.
It's so funny. Before the news, I said that we're going into our roofing conversation. No, we're going into the vegan conversation. And I'm giggling because of what I told you. My initial response and reaction is to veganism, which is, where's the meat? But we are open-minded and truly stepping into a conversation around becoming more healthy, giving our bodies the fuel that our bodies need, and giving ourselves an opportunity to look at all elements of a lifestyle. The real cost of a vegan lifestyle is our topic in our second hour of Power Lunch this afternoon. The vegan lifestyle has become increasingly popular in recent years. However, most South Africans aren't really aware of the real cost of a vegan lifestyle, both in economic and in social terms, all right? So the cost of veganism for South Africa is deeper than just the economic aspect, but it also includes inviting a culture change, which requires the reimagining of recipes, the reimagining of social and cultural gatherings, and all of the aspects of food consumption. I'm so excited to have this conversation as we are joined by vegan eKasi founder Yahav Ndzanze, who is on the line with us, and you can call in as well on 0861 987 000. Yahav, welcome to Power Lunch today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Pabi. Good to be here. How about you?
I'm great, thank you. So let's talk a little bit about your personal story. How did you become a vegan, and what's the journey been like for you?
Okay, so my journey started in 2005. At the time, I was like 16 years old at the time. So growing up as a child, I had a lot of struggle during winter time. You know, my immune system was not the best. So a lot of the times I would be eating soups and smooth food all the time. My mom knew all the time, every winter. So during 2005, I was exposed to the idea and concept of, meat-free living through various channels, music. At that time, social media, Facebook and Instagram were not there at all. So I was exposed to a group of young activists who were called Ghetto Youth Uprising, and these fellows espoused this idea of healthy living, because as part of their activism for youth activation and change, they were also big on health. So I learned about the many health problems that come with the consumption of animals and all of the various aspects that come around animal agriculture industry and all of the impact that it has on our planet and on our health. And so that's when I began to make the changes. And because after that year that I made the change, the next winter I was in good shape in terms of the illnesses and the tonsillitis, which was what caused me to have problems during winter. But I was great. I was doing well that winter, and when I witnessed that, I was more than convinced that I'm holding on. I'm going all the way. So before I could learn any other aspects, it was mainly because I wanted to take good care of my health. Yeah.
And it truly is a journey, isn't it? Because you discovered that, of course, you're going to be so motivated to continue that. I wonder what it is from a health point of view that then has made your immune system better.
Yeah. Basically, you see, when you begin to decide that I'm going to be a vegan, or I'm going to let go of certain foods. And because it wasn't just letting go, but it was more of what do I introduce in? And of course, the idea, whenever you go vegetarian or vegan, you introduce more vegetables, more fruits into your diet, which is the positive on the side of building the immune system, because those foods are known to be very beneficial in terms of immune building, your fruits and your vegetables. So that's the part that played a bigger role. Because before that, what I would say, I was a seafood,
pescatarian.
I was on a seafood diet. No. Anything I see, any food I see, I will eat.
I can't believe I fell for that one, Yahav.
So that's just how I was before that. As a result, it was unbelievable when I said I wasn't going to eat certain things. I was going to, make this change. So, yeah.
I mean, I find that really fascinating because I think that, mindful eating is so far outside of the norm. We literally just get on with it. So having to make decisions, really think about what you're going to make, how you're going to eat, that is part of the, I suppose, benefit of a vegan lifestyle. But on the flip side, I'm sure you have a lot to say about how that can feel like one of the downsides of a vegan lifestyle, right? I mean, you've really got to think, plan, and enact this in a way that's going to be delicious and nutritious.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you go outside of your own home.
Yes.
Because I always tell people, look, think about whatever you have in your house. You have rice in your house, that's vegan. You have bread in your house, that's vegan. You have tomatoes, you have cabbage, you have potatoes, you have beans. All of that is vegan. All right. But what I normally say, the meals that you are normally eating, especially in the neighborhood or in most rural places, we have iminusho, chagalaga, for example, is vegan. There's a lot of meals that we use, but the big problem comes when we are going into more social settings.
Yeah.
Where we want to have, the more elaborate meals, where there's going to be a whole lot of meat, a whole lot of, cheese. These days, they like to put cheese on everything and different meals, Yeah, because we avoid cheese as well, because they're animal product. So they recently, I saw in one of my engagements at work, I saw they put feta on beetroot, and I didn't even know that was a thing, So those kinds of situations are the ones that become pretty awkward, and pretty, challenging. However, I always come prepared. After 15 years or 16 years in the life, I always know how to navigate spaces.
All right. So what you're saying, I mean, I don't think it's blowing anybody's reality, right? I mean, cheese is a byproduct of milk, which is a byproduct of whatever animal the milk came from. So, of course, that is non-vegan. But would you say a lot more education has to happen in terms of, like you say, there's the beautiful beetroot, or in my mind, the beautiful spinach. You want to put some feta on that, and you think, I'll give it to Yahav because it's vegan, and so is he. But do you think we need to learn more, know more, even as caterers and those who are inviting people into our homes, Yahav?
Yes, absolutely. Especially as it is becoming more and more popular now, and more, retail outlets are, selling more meat alternatives and vegan products, so it becomes, a little easier, but it's just that a lot of us are not really exposed to the information. And that's part of why, we do what we do, as vegan eKasi, to share this information and to share these simple things, that are all over around us that could, apply to a vegan lifestyle or speak to a healthier, way of living and eating. Yeah. So that's absolutely critical that we educate each other. But I don't always come around to people to, with that thing of, look, I have to educate you.
Okay.
because people tend to be defensive whenever you speak as if they don't know, even if they don't know, but you have to have an approach. I always ask questions rather than to tell them what to do.
I'm so glad you say that. Yeah, because you know that there's a stereotype. No, you have,
Yeah, there are stereotypes, and we try to navigate those kind of things as safely as we can, non-judgmental, because we know that some of the things we do them because we are used to them. It's a social,
norm.
It has become a norm. So for most people, they don't even think twice about what they're going to eat. But we always tell people in our workshops that you have to be thinking about the things you're eating. Whether you are on a vegan diet or on a regular diet, you have to think about the things you eat, because deficiencies are very common amongst people. Generally. The diabetes, the high blood pressure, the strokes that are a problem in our country today, they're not attacking vegans. A large number of those people are regular people. So general health education has to be, a part of our conversation either way, but it just takes a different form, of course, when you're a vegan, because you tend to, be challenging a lot of norms, so to speak.
And it can be very emotional. I think, and that's why I'm really pointing out that I like that you say that you don't come preaching, because it can feel like a judgment. Like we're better as vegans, right? And so you stupid meat eaters, why are you doing this? It can feel that way, even though it isn't your intention. It can feel that way.
Time. Yes.
All right, so we've got a voice note that's come through on 083-303-7093. We're talking about the real cost of a vegan lifestyle.
Send us your voice notes on 083-303-7093.
Good day, Pabi. This is Sam. I'm hearing your guest speaking about being a vegan. And a lot of people confuse vegan being a vegetarian, because when you talk about being a vegan, it means that you don't eat or consume in any way of anything that is coming out of an animal, whether it's milk, just anything. You don't even wear leather shoes or leather belts or leather jackets. That's what it means being a vegan. It's extreme that way. Boma Rabbi Krishna vibe. You don't want anything to do with an animal. That's what it means being a vegan. It's different from being a vegetarian.
What do you say to that? Do you wear leather shoes and leather jackets?
Personally, I don't. I avoid them, right? Because I'm at this, stage and level, because remember, I started about 16 years ago,
right?
So for me, because it's a much bigger approach than the food, right? However, we always tell people it's a transition.
Okay.
You would. I mean, it may take you 20 more years before you can let go of that leather, shoe, especially with the weathers that we're experiencing and so on and so forth. Not to say that there aren't any options, there are. But again, we are always aware of the socioeconomic factors that affect people's decisions as far as it relates to getting other things or other than food, right? So for us, primarily, you would want to speak to the idea of your food first, right? And then everything else can follow after that. This is our approach. I know that there are different types of organizations that will go, rather take you to an animal slaughter farm, and then they show you all of these horrific images and how they treated the animals and what have you, However, being that the main idea for us is that we need to improve people's lives. Once you are able to improve people's lives, look, people make the world go round. If you're able to influence people in the right direction, everything else around us, we are able to create environments that are able to serve us better, right? So for us, we begin there. And of course, it's more than just food, because again, veganism is to try and avoid the use and exploitation of animals in any way practicable. You have to be practical. You have to. It's not going to be 100%. There's no perfect vegan here. You know. So it's always going to be a journey, whichever reason that you tend to go vegan, whether it's for your health, it's for animal advocacy, or it's for the environment. Because again, vegan diet has been shown through recent studies that it's beneficial for the environment. And that means that addressing the issue of our food system and how our food is produced.
Let's talk a little bit about what Sammy in the voice note alluded to, that, you know, he mentioned the specific religion of Hare Krishna. And I wonder if there is always a spiritual or religious kind of undertone to veganism.
Not always, because, for example, I, myself, I've been exposed to a lot of different people, you know, who are vegans, different organizations and different, you know, crowds that go for veganism in for various reasons. As I said earlier, some of them go for animal advocacy, animal rights advocacy. And those people have no spiritual undertoning to it whatsoever. And they just, that's just what it is, you know? Yeah. And then people like, for example, the Rastafarians, you know, who are more vegetarian than vegan, or your Hebrew Israelites, your Hare Krishna, which I have a whole lot of friends who, they are going on it for more spiritual reasons, because they believe that all beings are equal in the sight of God, and we cannot exploit another being for our own benefit. So that's their approach, right?
I mean, vibrationally and energetically, there's a lot that can be said to that as well. But if you're just walking into this, perhaps for health reasons or whatever your real mission is with veganism, you know, in Ramaphosa's economy, is it cheaper to be a vegan?
That's not a straight yes or no answer. Okay. It depends, because again, when you say vegan, a lot of people, in fact, when you say food, a lot of people are thinking of products, and we always try to encourage people to not think products, which is products on the shelves in supermarkets. Okay. We try to make people understand that actually a vegan diet is produce, which is your fruits, vegetables, you know, which tend to be cheaper than products, you know. And as a part of our mission, we try to encourage people to really make some of these things at home. If you want cheese, you can make cheese at home. If you want, you know, any other, even meat alternatives, you can make them at home, you know, especially if you want to meet your daily requirements in terms of your food and nourishment, then it's always preferable, because convenience foods, whether you're vegan or not, they tend to not be healthy at the end of the day. So they are just transition foods. People can have them, you know, when they try to make their journey easier and, you know, buy those meat alternatives and all of that, but they are expensive. I won't lie about that. However, what we encourage people to do is to look at what you have, look at what your everyday life consists of in terms of food. Think about the rice, think about the beans, think about the lentils, the peas, you know, all of those. So those things are simple, and they are very, very much cheaper on the pocket as far as, you know, economically speaking, than the other way around.
So apparently tattoos, Yahav, are not vegan because the dye is made from a charcoal that's derived from burning human bones. Some makeup and cosmetics, not vegan because they're tested on animals. Condoms, latex products may contain glycerin, which is not allowed in a vegan lifestyle. So there are alternatives to that. Apparently, even some types of orange juice from certain cartons are not vegan because they've got omega-3 fatty acids, which are derived from the fish and fish gelatin. So it's really something to be aware of, and I'm sure that's a lot of the education that you do. We're going to take a short break and find out what's happening in the headlines, and then we want to know a little bit more about vegan eKasi and the work that you do. And we've got a voice note too that's come through on 0861 987 000.
Power
Lunch
with Pabi Moloi.
weekdays 12 to 3 p.m.
I'm just looking at some of my favorite recipes, and one of them, Yahav, you'll be happy to know, is a full vegan ratatouille. I make a massive pot of that with all of my eggplant and tomatoes and herbs and all sorts of things. Make a big pot, put it into dikaftinyana and freeze it. And then anytime you need a meal on the go, there it is. So it is possible, people. The vegan lifestyle is what we're discussing. And we've got vegan eKasi founder Yahav Ndzanze, and we've also got some voice notes from you.
Good afternoon, Pabi, Motswaledi Makopela. I'm calling from Pretoria. Rankwa to be specific. I've got a question from a vegan's perspective. Is it only good, or does it only become healthy when only plants die? Because logically, for a plant to be consumed, it has to be killed. Remember that plants are also living organisms. They do breathe, they do reproduce, equally to animals. Or maybe I'm missing the point. Have a good day, Ospat.
Thank you, Litswaledi. I'm sure you've heard that before as well, you have?
Plenty of times.
Yeah.
But speaking to plants and them being alive, we can't speak of the same sense as if plants are animals. Yes, they are living organisms, and they are, in their own way, able to communicate and form all of these, these fauna kingdoms that they form and what have you. But they are not sentient. By sentient is that they don't necessarily experience grief, pain, and all of those things. It's not the same kind of thing because all of that is controlled by what we call the central nervous system. And the plants do not have that. They do send impulses in the airwaves and all kinds of things, but not with what we have. As a matter of fact, with things like apples, for example. Let's say you take an apple from a tree, that apple, actually, a lot of people, we learn this every day, that the more you chew your food, actually, the more it gives out, the nutrients to you. Some foods, for example, your almond nuts, your beans, your all of your grains. Those foods have what they call phytates in them, right? The phytates are there basically to protect the plant from, rather the actual grain or the nut and the beans from the elements, which is the weather and the earth, so that they don't just wane away.
And
right?
what? That's something that we need to have in our bodies too?
No, not necessarily. But I'm coming to the point that, but when you read it and when you do a process, for example, like soaking it, that's why you need to soak beans, because that's when they actually release their nutrition.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah,
when you soak them, when you sprout them, when you cook them, in generally, that's when they get to release the nutrition that they actually held in them. And they are very, very beneficial, high in that fiber, high in those phytonutrients, that your body needs. Because again, remember, what fuel are we going to use then in that case?
Yeah, absolutely.
Our bodies are designed to consume these plants and to replenish all of those minerals that are in the soil so that they can be transported and become a part of our bodies. We need iron, for example,
Sure.
but we can't go and chew an iron ore.
Yes.
Instead, the nature's intelligence design, it made it come via the way of your plants, your greens, and all of those cashews and those apricots. They're so delicious. We can't resist them, and they also nourish us.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure. It's a beautiful relationship.
Yeah,
it's not one of terror at all.
All right, let's get another voice note up on the line.
Hi, Pabi and your guest in the studio. It's Justin from Social. I just have this quick question. In regards to veganhood, can one become a bodybuilder as a vegan? Let me put it this way, can one start to become a bodybuilder? Like the foundation is all vegan, it's all veggies.
Yeah.
And actually grow substantial muscles, noticeable muscles, if I may put it like that. And also, I'm so surprised when I heard you talking about tattoos and bones, human bones. That is wild. I hope it's not human bones, but loving the show.
Thank you so much. I didn't say human bones. I said animal bones, but yes, bones indeed is the ash and the charcoal that goes into some tattoo dyes. But let's answer that question, Yahav, about can you build muscle and to the point where you are a competitive bodybuilder? And then finally, before we wrap up, just one or two do's and don'ts from going from omnivorism to complete veganism, veganarity.
Yeah. All right. So to answer that question, simple and plain, yes, you can build substantive muscle on a vegan plant-based diet. Absolutely. It has all the nutritional needs that an athlete would need to build substantial muscle. Again, the basic principle is that whatever you do, if you are a bodybuilder, in fact, we teach this across the spectrum, whether you are vegan or non-vegan.
Right.
If you are an athlete and you're trying to build muscle, the idea is that you burn calories with your workout, right? You replace those calories with healthier alternatives, preferably protein sources, because they will be your repairers of your muscle and they will also build your muscle substantially. Another critical point when you build muscle, do not avoid carbohydrates because there's these low carb, diets and all types of variations. But if you avoid carbohydrates, you're going to have a problem. It doesn't matter which side you are on. You're going to have a problem. You need to have, I always say, instead of having no carbs, you must have slow carbs, which is your complex carbohydrates, your healthy carbohydrates, because those are what will give your muscles glycogen, which will be the energy and fuel that your muscles use to build and build themselves and continue to grow. But you must have a little bit more protein, of course, which you can have from your beans, your tofu, your lentils, brown rice, just a wide variety of your food. It has to, be balanced, basically. That's where the trick is at.
Absolutely. I just want to say, instead of low carbs, you have slow carbs bars.
Yes.
Bars. Because that's going to help us remember when we're in the stores, the slow release carbs, the carbs that grew under the ground from trees. That's really where it's from. All right, we have to let it go there. How do we find Vegan eKasi? How do we find you?
Yes, Vegan eKasi. If you just put the term itself, Vegan eKasi, on Google, it'll give you our website, our social media handles, which is on Instagram, it's Vegan eKasi. On Facebook, it's Vegan eKasi. Everywhere else, we're Vegan eKasi.
Okay, brilliant.
Basically, that's how you find us.
And then the name. Tell me more about your name.
My name,
yes.
Yahav.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically a biblical name. It's from the Hebrew language, Yahav, which means he who offers hope and love.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And I think you've really brought that message through in the work that you do in our conversation today. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Pabi. You take care. Thanks to the listeners as well.
Cheers. Yahav Ndzanze on the line with us, the vegan eKasi co-founder, and you can find them everywhere. And maybe think about pivoting your eating and lifestyle just a little bit. I know I've incorporated a few meat-free Mondays, meat-free recipes, and it has actually changed my gut health, my energy levels, the works. Let me know how it goes.
You've been listening to a Power 98.7 podcast. For more podcasts, visit power987.co.za or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.